The classic study was a study done in 1991. So this is fairly recent information. These researchers from the United States, Ekman and O'Sullivan, what they do is they show short videotape clips to various groups of people. And in half of the clips, the person is telling the truth, and the other half, the person is lying. They use university students as the subjects, and then they show these videotapes to various groups, and they ask them how they do, whether they think the person's telling truth or lying. For whatever reason, the United States Secret Service seems to do better than anyone else, at 64%. It's not so great, though. I mean, it's nowhere near certainty. And in fact, there's a wide disparity, and many groups do very poorly. And I give this talk to lots of judges, and they don't like seeing this one down here, that they are very bad at this. So, if they just flipped a coin, if they just tossed a coin, they'd be much better at it. But by trying, they're doing worse. So Ekman and Sullivan, this is quite interesting. So they said, well, is this a true effect? Let's try it again. They replicated the study 8 years later, exactly the same results. Most people still did poorly at assessing credibility. Breach, who's a researcher in Great Britain, looked at a whole raft of studies, 37 studies. Overall, 57%, so just slightly above chance. But you wouldn't have done much better if you just closed your eyes, put your hands over your ears, and simply flipped a coin. Get pretty good results. There are what we call the super lie detectors. Very interesting. There are some people that actually can detect lies very well. The problem is, we don't know who they are. You might be one of them. Some are pretty good, but again, we have no way of knowing whether you're pretty good or not. One of the criticisms of all of these studies is it's not real life. You know, just a bunch of university students being paid $10 to tell a lie, to tell the truth. Not enough at stake. Once we're in court, well, when things are real, we'll be able to do it right. So the researchers said, okay, we'll see. And so researchers started to design new studies. They got experienced police officers. Rather than looking at little videotapes, they had the chance to interview the subject and, spend as much time as they wanted. Same result. Just slightly over chance, 57%. This one, very interesting study. These were real suspects. So these were people who were charged with very serious crimes. They were able to determine after the event that whether or not the person had committed the crime. Did slightly better at 65%. But that is nowhere near what we would call proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So even when the stakes are very, very high, we make the same kind of mistake. Canadian researcher did a similar study with child witnesses, same result. Judges did better than the other groups, but again, around chance. When I give this talk, what the judges like more than anything else is they were able to beat the law students. So, small comfort. Okay, so the anecdotal evidence shows we make mistakes. The empirical evidence shows that we make mistakes. It's all very interesting, but it's not very helpful unless we understand why we make mistakes. Is there something, because if we know why, maybe we can improve. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about these 6 factors. I want to talk about what is it we believe about why people lie. I want to talk about how appearance influences our decision about lying. I'm going to talk about something called the truth bias, something called the confirmation bias. I'm going to talk about confidence. If you feel like you're really doing a good job, is that a way of predicting whether or not you're telling that you're getting good results? And then I want to talk about perhaps the most troubling part, which is the fact that we never know for sure because we never get any feedback. We never find out after the case, usually, what happens. Okay, so beliefs about deception behavior. What we're going to talk about here are two sets of beliefs. One has to do with what we call non-verbal cues. In other words, looking at the appearance, the demeanor of the person, can we detect whether or not they're telling the truth? And then secondly, what I call content cues. In other words, by listening to the story and the way the story is being told. So not just the appearance, but listening to the content of the story is what do we know about credibility. Okay, so let's start with the nonverbal cues. What do we believe? What are the beliefs associated with deception? First of all, there's something called gaze aversion. The idea that a person who is lying will not be able to look you in the eye. This is a belief that is worldwide, cuts across all cultures, virtually all cultures. The second one is that a liar is someone who fidgets, who moves around, who has frequent body movements. Their hands move around, they shift their body around. The idea, basically, that a person who's lying is going to be nervous, and the nervousness is going to be shown in the fact that they're always waving their hands around and so on. Now, again, these are beliefs that are generally widely held in most cultures. The research shows that these fundamental beliefs that we have about whether or not someone's lying are incorrect. That in fact, the inability to look someone in the eye, the fidgeting, does not tell you whether or not the person is lying. Why is it? In fact, it kind of makes sense. The concept or the belief that a liar can't look you in the eye is so well known that if I want to lie to you, what am I going to do? I'm going to look you straight in the eye because I think you're going to believe that I'm telling the truth.